Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with Chocolate Snowcap Cookies. That's right, what's better than a chocolate cookie? One that looks like it's topped with delicious snow. And this is definitely one instance where crack is not whack. In fact, it's critical to the look of these classic holiday cookies. So let me show you how to make these, and as usual, I'm going to say they're pretty easy. So for step one, we're going to get our dry ingredients together, which means in a bowl I'm going to dump some all-purpose flour, along with some very high-quality cocoa. Check the blog, I'll tell you which one I used. We're also going to need some salt and some baking powder. What's that? You mistakenly used baking soda? That's why it didn't work. So make sure you're using baking powder. And we're going to take a whisk and we're going to mix that up thoroughly. And we're just going to set that aside until needed. All right, so that's done. Next up, we're going to melt some chocolate over some hot water. Just put that on low, put that bowl on top, and just let it sit there until it melts completely. And of course, if you put a little too much chocolate in, you must adjust. There, that's perfect now. Okay, so we're going to let that chocolate sit over hot water until it's melted. And at that point, we can start our batter. So in the stand mixer, I have some room temperature butter. We're going to add some brown sugar. And as you can see, we have our paddle attachment. And we're going to go ahead and what's called cream the butter and the sugar together, which simply means mix it together for a couple minutes until it looks like a paste like this. And then we're going to add 2 whole eggs, but one at a time. All right, so crack one in, turn the mixer on. As soon as that one's incorporated, then you can add the second egg. Okay, because eggs are almost all water and the mixture in there is almost all fat, those don't like to mix. So if you add both eggs together, it could separate. So one at a time. And once that second egg is mixed in completely, we're going to go ahead and grab our bowl of melted chocolate. And assuming you haven't just simply chugged it, we're going to pour that into the mixer. We'll give that a quick mix. And then as soon as that melted chocolate is incorporated, we'll stop and add the dry ingredients. But before we do, give the sides a scrape and the paddle. All right, you want to clean it off so everything mixes in nicely. And then go ahead and pour your dry mixture in. You'll want to start on a slow speed so you're not wearing the stuff. And we're just going to give that a brief mix until basically those dry ingredients kind of disappear, or almost. And then we'll just scrape that mixture into a bowl, because before we work with this, we have to chill it thoroughly. So go ahead and wrap that in plastic, and then throw it in the fridge for about an hour or until it's firm enough to scoop, which this is. Oh yeah, that's scoopable. And sure, you can use a plain old spoon if you want, but you know I love my little sorbet scoop, so I can get perfectly sized cookies every time. And as we scoop these, we're going to drop them into a bowl of powdered sugar. So drop it in, roll it around, and once it's completely coated with sugar, pick it up and roll it in your palm to make a perfectly round ball. And once you've rolled it, we're going to go back into the sugar for another coating. The key to this recipe, as you will see, is a ton of powdered sugar on the outside. Oh, and by the way, not to spoil the ending, but you see how I shake off the excess here a little bit? That was a mistake. But as usual, my mistakes will benefit you. You'll see what happens later. But anyway, you're going to coat your balls thoroughly in powdered sugar. We're going to place those on our cookie sheet. I line mine with a baking mat, but you could use parchment. And we're going to go ahead and bake those in the center of a 350-degree oven for about 12 minutes, or until they look like chocolate snowcap cookies. Check it out. Those look pretty good, or at least that's what I thought. But anyway, we'll get into that. So we're going to take those out. They're going to be very, very, very soft when they first come out, so let them sit on the cookie sheet for about 10 minutes to firm up a little bit before you try to transfer them onto your cooling rack. But after about 10 minutes, they should transfer easily. So I transferred those onto my rack, and as I waited for them to cool, I realized they're not as snowy as I wanted. I don't want dingy March snow. I want brilliant white January snow. So as these sat, that beautiful white snow kind of faded a little bit, which made me a little sad until I tasted them. And they were so unbelievably delicious, chocolatey, fudgy, and just absolutely beautifully textured. I kind of forgot about the appearance and simply enjoyed its chocolatey, fudgy goodness. But as soon as I finished, I knew I needed to do one more test. So I did 2 things. I let the dough chill overnight. I scooped out another small test batch. But except this time, I did not knock off any of that excess powdered sugar. I really, really, really piled it on. How much? Remember that scene in Scarface? That's how much. And then I cooked this batch exactly the same, 350 for about 12 minutes. And I noticed 2 things. The dough that sat overnight sat up higher. It didn't spread out as much. And because I coated them in even more powdered sugar, they actually came out way whiter, as you can see. So the moral of the story here is if you want chocolate snowcap cookies that actually look like snow caps, you have to go Tony Montana on these. And make sure they have a super thick layer of that powdered sugar before you bake them. You almost literally can't put too much on there, okay? But anyway, wintry appearances aside, these really were great chocolate cookies. And I'm sure would be a huge hit at any any holiday cookie exchange. So I really do hope you give these a try. Head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.